His mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think he looks like he got hit by a car. He looks like he got hit by a car.
Karen is appalled that John's mother wonders if he was hit by a vehicle. But why? Karen herself was telling people he may have been hit by a snowplow, and even said she asked if she had hit him when driving intoxicated hours before.
What I thought could have happened was that did I incapacitate him unwittingly, somehow, and then in his drunkenness, passed out? That body wasn't hit by my car.
Shortly after finding out that John had passed away, Karen and her family went to John's house to collect her vehicle. However, they appear to be oddly attentive to the taillight, as if they want to look at it without actually being seen looking at it.
I picked pieces out of the light housing that had kind of collapsed within the light and dropped them in John's driveway.
Is that what you're looking for, Mr. Reed? After arriving at her parents' home, Karen bolts directly to that back taillight. You know who never once looked at the taillight? John O'Keefe's mother.
Could you stop that, please? Do you know who's in that video?
I believe it's Mr. Paul O'Keefe and Mrs. O'Keefe.
Could you please play?
Mr. O'Keefe also is not seen looking towards the taillight at any point.
Okay, thank you.
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think he looks like he got hit by a car. He looks like he got hit by a car.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey.
How is everybody? Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Hope you are having a good day. Ready to talk about some taillight, which I actually had to look up twice this week to make sure it really is one word and not two words.
I did the same.
It's one word, right?
Yeah, it's one word.
It feels weird though, right?
It does. I always write it as two, and then I change it. It doesn't look right.
Yeah, so if you see it on any of our documents tonight or today that are wrong, that's why we were confused. So hello to everybody in the chat. We are going to have a little different format today. So we're each going to do a presentation, and then we're going to have Q&A after each section. But we've kind of divided this up because even though it's to us, pretty simple topic, there's actually a lot of data and a lot of evidence that we have to kind of make our point that people want to still keep arguing. So we're going to go through this kind of methodically today. And we're going to start with the timeline. So I will put a timeline up, and let's see, can I do that? Hopefully this is big enough for you to see, but I'm going to go through it, and then I will put this in the show notes, and I'll put it in our community tab, and I'll put it on Patreon, and I'll put it in our Facebook group. So you'll have a copy of this that you can look at a little bit bigger today. But let's just go through the basic Taillight timeline for starters. So we start at 12:32 when the collision event happens where John O'Keefe is struck by Karen Reed's vehicle. The next important moment in the timeline happens at 5:07 in the morning. So, and these are all color coded for what source of data we have. So in this case, yellow signifies the Ring video. And before I go through this point, I want to show you Karen Reed's taillight from January 28th, before the collision with John O'Keefe and before the taillight is broken. So I have a clip that I'm going to show you for that. So this is January 28th, before the storm.
Okay. So I could have video 119.
Okay, so that is Karen's intact taillight the day before. Then at 5:07 in the morning, she is captured on Ring video leaving Meadows Ave to go to Jen McCabe's house. And there's an arrow pointing down to a great side-by-side photo that Ken Go Tiger 66 on Twitter put the two stills from the videos that we're talking about. So the one from January 28th on the top, and then the one that I'm about to show you from 5:07:58 in the morning on the bottom, so that you can clearly see the damage to the passenger side taillight compared with it being completely intact. So here's the video from 5:07:58. Oops. Okay, so that gives you the image on the bottom. Then at 5:35 in the morning, Carrie arrives at Jen's house. She notices the broken taillight. Karen was applying the brakes. So remember, Carrie thought Karen was coming to her house. Then she finds out through a phone call that she had actually gone to Jen's So Carrie gets to Jen's house after Karen and Jen are already there. Karen's in the driveway. She's applying the brake, and Carrie saw the missing piece. Then at 5:46, Karen shows Carrie and Jen the taillight once they get back to Meadows Ave. And she states herself at 5:46 in the morning that she picked pieces out of the housing of the taillight. And here is a clip of her saying that.
Had picked out at John's at 5:45 before we drove over to Fairview. I'm showing Jim and Carrie, look what I just did to my light, and I'm worried that there's gonna be some kind of electric short circuit. There's like the bulb is showing, and some of the red plastic's missing. So I picked pieces out of the light housing that had kind of collapsed within the light and dropped them in John's driveway.
Okay, so let me put this back up here. And then at 6:48, so at 5:45, everybody, including Karen, agrees the taillight is broken. That is an hour before anyone tells Michael Proctor, who's in the last few minutes of his on-call shift. He is called by Yuri Buchanan regarding a possible, what they thought at the time was a possible medical situation. So he is at his house because he's on call from 7 to 7. It's 6:48, and he gets a phone call from Yuri Buchanan saying, hey, something might be up. You're still the on-call guy. This is an hour after Karen acknowledges that the taillight was broken. Then at 8:23, Charles Ray, and I have a question mark here because I'm not sure how to spell this man's name, but they go to One Meadows for a welfare check, and we're going to go over this. And when they arrive for the welfare check, even though they don't really notice at the time because their concern is the welfare check, their dash cam shows that the passenger side tail light is broken and looks completely different from the other tail light. Now remember, at this point, so after Karen and Carrie and Jen leave, Karen never comes back to the house until the afternoon, and we'll show you that. But here is the still photo from the dash cam footage that shows that that big chunk of the tail light is missing. So then, sorry, I have to make this big again so I can read it. So then at 10 a.m., Michael Proctor arrives at the Canton PD, and he is briefed by Sergeant Good on what has happened so far with this incident. Then, not until 12:04, so they've already been to the hospital. They are returning to One Meadows. Karen Reed and Bill Reed arrive at Meadows, and you can see them both look at the tail light. Not just that, but Bill Reed also confirms to Court TV that he saw the broken taillight at Meadows Ave. He said it's clearly visible. And he knows that Karen has not been back to the scene. No one has been back to that vehicle since Karen acknowledged that it was broken at 5:46 in the morning.
Your house, or did you see it at Meadows?
I saw it at both places. So when we left the hospital, Karen wanted to see the children. And so my son drove us to Meadows. When I got out of the car, I saw it. And then when I had a cup of coffee and left there, we cleaned off the back, and I saw it as right here. And so I know what I saw.
He knows what he saw. He saw the broken taillight. So at 1 p.m., Michael Proctor and Yuri Buchanan arrive at Good Samaritan Hospital. They note at that time, so at 1 p.m., that John O'Keefe is missing a shoe because they have the rest of his clothing and they have this single shoe. They collect the clothing and they decide to go to Dighton. So at this point, they're aware that something amiss has happened to John, and they head to Dighton. And in his testimony, Yuri Buchanan describes how difficult a drive that was, that it took a significant amount of time because of the weather. Also in his testimony, because Hank asked him, I can't remember if Lally did, but I know Hank did. He asked him, were you two together the entire day? And he says, yes, we were together the entire day. So at let's see, do I want to tell you about this? I won't tell you about this yet. So then there is footage of Karen at pulling into, I think Bill Reed was driving, but then pulling the SUV into Dighton, in my opinion, driving like a bat out of hell, but you decide after you watch the clip. And they walk immediately, Karen walks immediately to the taillight, and it looks like she's doing something with it, whether she's wiping off the outside or what. But you can see, and this video resurfaced lately on Twitter, and people kind of zoomed in on what she's doing. So you can decide for yourself. This is at 2:11:47. They begin to pull into the driveway of her parents' house. So at 2:32, Tully notices the CERT team that they will be needed. So everyone at this point knows that they need to go back to 34 Fairview and they need to look for evidence of a collision. So at 3 p.m., Proctor and Buchanan arrive in Dighton. Buchanan says they park at the end of the street because what they had to do was notice the Dighton Police Department that they were going to be there conducting operations, and that's just a courtesy to Dighton PD. They wanted a uniformed officer to come out from Dighton PD since it was their jurisdiction. And they also asked for a tow truck to come because they knew they were going to be towing the Lexus. So they sat at the, down the street from the house for a while until, and he said it was a good amount of time for Dighton PD to show up. So they waited for them to show up. When Dighton PD showed up, they began to walk towards the house. And to do so, they had to walk past the vehicle. And in his testimony, Buchanan says he walked past the vehicle on the way to the door. He noticed the damaged taillight and he pointed it out to Michael Proctor, like, hey, look at this. It's busted. Do you agree? And Proctor says yes. So then at 4:12 p.m., so they go inside, they talk to the Reeds, and then the tow truck is ready to take the vehicle. So they take the Lexus into custody at 4:12, and we are lucky enough that the way the camera was positioned on the Reed home, it once again catches the damaged taillight, damaged exactly the same way that it's been damaged since 5 a.m. talk about amazing luck, right? That captured that same damage that we've seen all along. So while the Lexus is being towed to the Sallyport, Jason Bousselet is the first CERT team member to arrive at the scene, and he does so at 4:54, and then the rest of the team arrives after that. The Lexus arrives at the Sallyport. There's a photo below this where you can see the photograph on the left is captured from the wellness check dash cam. The photo on the right, and these are both trial exhibits, is after they've melted off the snow in the Sallyport. Surprise, the taillight looks exactly the same as it did during the wellness check and at 5:07 a.m. So at 5:36 p.m., arrives at the Sallyport, taillight damage exactly as seen on dash cam. At 5:45 p.m., the CERT team finds the very first piece, which is a clear piece of plastic from the taillight, and that is documented in the CERT team logs. At 5:50 p.m., John's shoe, which I have a photo of here, is found up against the curb. It was found beneath the snow. So they were digging it out with a shovel, and they get to his shoe. So it was under a significant amount of snow, and it was also filled with snow. So that concludes the timeline portion of the program. Sorry if that was super boring and procedural, but Jenny, do you have any comments about the timeline?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all there. I don't, it's hard for me because I don't know what to say. It's everything is there. It's common sense. They want to make something out of nothing. And it's kind of hard to know what to say about that because just looking at it, I was trying to remember. There was one thing I can't remember now. There was one thing I thought about when you were going through it, but basically, yeah, it's there. It's all there.
It's there. Carrie, what about you? You're muted, honey. Carrie, you're muted. You're
still muted.
How about now? There you go. I got a new microphone. Sorry. Same thing as Ginny. It's mind blowing to me that the reason we're doing this, right, is because people are still saying it, and this kind of hinges. This is what the O'Keefes need to prove, right? There's no framing if that taillight wasn't planted. Period. I think they proved it in both trials, and I mean, you just proved it in 2 minutes. It's broken. It's gone at 5:09, and it still lights up. That's one thing I don't know if people understand when the taillights, it's cracked. It's the taillights. That's why it's still lighting up when you see her step on her brakes and stuff. It's not because the taillight's there, but unless you're blind or just completely living in la la land, I mean, her taillight's gone. It's gone.
And gone in the same way every time.
Yes, every single time.
Tuesday, what about you?
So I find it interesting with Bill Reed. So he makes that public statement, right, that he saw the taillight twice. The first time was when he arrived at at John's driveway. However, we do not see him anywhere near that taillight, right? It's almost like the only time we're seeing the family, it's almost like they're looking at it from a distance, but they're afraid to go near the area, right? And we even see that Nathan is like wiping off the car and walks around that taillight and only cleans the left taillight. Well, here's the problem is Karen herself, right, said that she could see the bulb, right? Didn't she say something like she could see the bulb? So what is Bill Reed's point when he's saying he wouldn't have driven that car
if he felt like the taillight was cracked enough. I mean, if you see the bulb, what else are you worried about? If you're seeing wires, what else are you worried about? I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't align. I mean, is it possible that there's ring footage that doesn't show him up examining the taillight? I mean, I don't know. Is that possible? Maybe because rings is not one stream, right? However, we see them arrive. And if he is examining the taillight from a distance, that's really weird. Like if my dad was concerned about it, he would be all up in that taillight, right? So that whole thing is just odd to me.
Julie?
I hope I'm not too behind. Do I sound behind?
No, you're good.
No.
Am I behind? Okay,
Nope.
good. Yeah, it's just shocking to me seeing those pictures that people actually believe that taillight wasn't broken or it was just cracked. I can't believe the way they have put this into the public thought, right? I mean, we can see it. We can see that it's broken. It's missing pieces. And yet they just kept telling this lie and people believe it. To this day, you can argue with people on social media about it, and it's right there. It's right there, guys.
That's so simple.
It really is.
Okay, so we're going to turn it over to Jenny now.
Yep. And you guys get me without my glasses so I can see what I'm reading. So what I was going to talk about today was the investigation of the crime scene. Because that's one of the points that Free Karen Reed likes to use, right? When they're trying to prove that the taillight was planted, they love to say, well, Canton PD didn't find taillight when they were looking. It was only found later on after Karen's vehicle was already on its way to, or in the Sally Port. But let's take a look at the area that Canton PD actually searched and also what their focus was during that search, because it's not just about the area, it's about what they were really looking for when they were doing it. So the first thing I'm going to pull up is this report. Hopefully we'll just, we all move to the side. This is the Canton PD incident report for that day. And I'm going to skip through a lot of this just because a lot of it's the statements and stuff. I really want to get to the end to discuss what I'm talking about. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so number 7. While still on scene, Lieutenant Gallagher, Sergeant Good, and I attempted to retrieve as much evidence as possible given the weather conditions. Lieutenant Gallagher was able to use a leaf blower to blow away the top layers of snow. We were able to observe a broken drinking glass and multiple patches of red, which appeared to be frozen blood drops. 6 samples of the substance.
Now, as far as
what happened?
your review and your
I don't know what's happening.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Commercial break.
Okay. So anyway, that's their report. And then if you go here, you can kind of see the conditions they were working with, right? Not pleasant.
Can you put that back up?
Oh, is it up?
Nope.
Hold on. Now can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. It was showing up on my side. So yeah, so these are the conditions they're working in, right? Not pleasant at all. I'm from Florida. This like is mind blowing to me. Like that is so much snow. But let's take a look at the video. Basically, I've clipped some of Canton PD. I think most of them, as far as when they're talking about the area and also what they were looking for when they were searching. And that's a video, and I'll add that now.
The property, I would call it the east side of the property.
Hold on, sorry. I was testing it earlier. Here you go.
Around, and they discovered Mr. O'Keefe on the left side of the property. I would call it the east side of the property. So we decided on how we were going to process the area. Our concern was there were some light pink spots in the snow, and we thought it may be blood. So we were discussing how to get to that, uncover the blood safely. In addition to photographs, what we did was, I wasn't sure how the roadway ended. I wasn't sure if there was a sidewalk, a curb, a berm, or whether it was just grass, excuse me. So Sergeant Lank and I dug out what I believe is called a 6-inch Cape Cod asphalt berm, exposed it so we could get a better perspective of how far Mr. O'Keefe might have been off the roadway. And it's a close-up of where Mr. O'Keefe was found. And you can see the very light pink spotting that we thought may be blood. And there was an object in the center as well, which we didn't know what it was at that time.
Subsequently, did you learn what that object was?
Yes.
What did you learn?
It was a broken clear cocktail glass. And the pink spot was frozen or coagulated blood. That is the I believe it's called a 6-inch Cape Cod asphalt berm that separated the roadway from the property of 34 Fairview. And this is the long look to where Mr. O'Keefe was discovered.
What do you recognize?
It's me operating the leaf blower and at the scene where John O'Keefe was discovered. We were concerned with the weather destroying biological evidence at that time.
As far as sort of a surface area, like how much of that area where Mr. O'Keefe was found were you able to use the leaf blower on?
It was approximately a 6x6, 7x7 type area.
You know, the area that you were directed, or your attention was directed to as to where Mr. O'Keefe had been found. What, if anything, did you do with reference to that area?
I stood by and observed while Lieutenant Gallagher used a leaf blower to try to clear the top layers of snow off of the scene. The purpose behind the leaf blower was to just take the top layers of snow off to reveal what was underneath and try to preserve any potential evidence.
You searched the area that was adjacent to where you believed the body was. Is that right?
We searched, I would say, about a 6x6 or 7x7 area.
6x6 or 7x7?
Roughly. 6 feet on each side.
Right.
And at some point when you're speaking with Officer Saraf, does he direct your attention to where Officer O'Keefe was prior to being placed in the ambulance?
Yes. If you're looking at the house, it'd be left-hand side, slightly probably right in front of the flagpole. Lieutenant Gallagher immediately said we need to seal off the area of where Officer O'Keefe was located. We grabbed some crime scene tape, put around. He wanted to photograph the area as well. Lieutenant Gallagher noticed that the snow was coming down at such a good clip. We couldn't keep it clear, and made the idea of anybody have a leaf blower, and I did. So I told him I'm not too far away from the house, so I shot back to my residence and grabbed my own.
You recognize what's up on the screen as Exhibit 20?
Yes, that's the curbing.
And as far as the curbing is concerned, how is it sort of cleared off in this particular area?
We had to kick it off with our shoe to clear it off so we could actually see it, make a mark of it.
And again, that area that you were directed to, as far as where Mr. O'Keefe was found, you observed that in this photograph of Exhibit 28 as well?
Yes.
You could, using the laser pointer before you directed your attention where in this photograph that is.
Okay, sorry. Some of that was hard to hear, Lally, which we all know. But basically, he was asking him in the end, the last clip, to point out where John was found. And that's what he was doing with the laser pointer. So, I mean, we can see here, right? Canton's focus was right around John's body. They went no further than 6, at most 7 feet in any direction. So they were on the lawn. And their concern wasn't necessarily finding all the evidence, right? It was the weather was coming down so hard, or the snow was coming down so hard. They were concerned about what they could see, losing it. So they could see the little pink spots, which they thought could be blood. And that's what their focus was. It wasn't to search everything. It was just that immediate area because of the snow. So then, of course, CERT was called in, right? So let me pull that up. And CERT's focus was different, which we can see here. The final, I'm just going to go to their final, oh gosh, hopefully I can read this. Their final mission report. I cannot read that. Hold on. I'll pull it up on my other screen. Okay. So the final mission report says that 7 CERT members responded to the scene. Canton had received over 18 inches of snow. CERT focused on the search on the area of the, sorry, I'm getting text messages. Okay, sorry. The snowplows hadn't cleared the street all the way to the curb, and there were large snow drifts extending into the street. CERT shoveled and carefully sifted through the area. CERT located the victim's sneaker and multiple pieces of red clear glass and broken taillight. Okay, I also pulled up all of the video from CERT. Let me find that, where they explain what area they searched and what they found.
The street or yard did you?
Here we go.
When you began the search, what part of the street or yard did you begin with?
We started where we were informed the vehicle was parked, which again was by, almost directly across from the front door of the house. And we began working south towards Chapman Street.
Inevitably, did you or your team find an item of clothing?
We found the sneaker, yes, sir.
A sneaker?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe where the sneaker was found?
Sneaker was flush up against the curb and it was inverted upside down.
Do you know if any of the items were touching the ground or were they on snow?
A couple of the pieces were found at ground level, touching the asphalt.
Was it a search that took up the whole front yard and street of that area?
Our focus was on the street. We really didn't touch the front yard at all. We started to go over the curb at one point to see if we could search the grass area, but we could not properly definitively say we were searching it well. As we started to move the snow, we couldn't really differentiate down to the grass level.
Did you have a general area that you were directed to?
Yes, sir.
Any landmarks you can share with us in the general area where you were going to be focused on?
There was a flagpole in front of the residence. There was also a fire hydrant in front of the residence.
Who made the determination of the scope of the area that you would search?
I made the final markings of the distance we wanted to search, but we were guided by Lieutenant Telly's information he was able to provide for me.
How did you decide the depth and the broadness of the area you were going to search?
He informed me that there was a vehicle involved in the incident. He told me where that vehicle had been parked. So we wanted to make sure we started prior to where that vehicle was parked, which was almost adjacent to the front door of the house. If you were to look at the house we were at 34 Fairview Road, you don't say there was 2 front doors, a main front door and then a secondary front door at, closer to the garage, whether that's a mudroom or a den. So he'd say that the vehicle was parked almost directly across from the main front door, which again, looking at the house, that's on the left front door. So we marked off that as our starting location, and we wanted to search down to the fire hydrant.
Were you looking randomly, or was there any specific items you may have been looking for?
No, we were instructed that it was believed that the vehicle may have had a broken taillight, so we were looking for taillight pieces. We also were informed the victim in this incident was missing his shoe, so we were going to be looking for his sneaker as well.
So obviously their search was in a very different location than Canton, right? They didn't even go onto the lawn really. And you can see here in the cars diagram, you can see where they found John and where Canton found the glass cup. And you can see the CERT area, like where they found the shoe, pieces of the taillight. It's a different area. I mean, obviously this looks close just because we're zoomed so far out. But they're completely separated. So it's, I mean, I was thinking about this, and it's kind of like I said before, it's so common sense. But let's say I was missing things from my purse that fell out of my purse, and I only searched one area, right? And I searched the kitchen, and I found my phone on the kitchen counter. And that's the only thing I found because that's the only area I searched. My husband comes home and he searches the car where I had my purse before, and he searches the living room and he finds my keys or my glasses. I mean, am I going to say, well, no, those things weren't there before because I didn't search there? Like, am I going to deny that those items were there just because I didn't look there? It's common sense, right? CPD searched one small area, they found items in that area. Searched another area, they found items in that area. It's not suspicious, it's literally how searching works. So that's all I have on that. And I'm going to put my glasses back on now.
Yeah, now you can see again.
I can see again.
Well, what do you think, Julie? You got thoughts on CERT and the searches?
Yeah, I mean, Jenny makes such great points here, right? So, you know, it's like the calling card of the conspiracy. They always say CPD didn't find any taillight, must have been planted, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, CPD was looking for different things, right? They were looking for that biological evidence. That's what they were concerned with. And they were looking in that area right around John. CERT had, by that time, they had more information. They had a different goal. They were looking for that shoe. They were looking for things that would be involved in a vehicular accident. And they searched in a completely different place. Jenny showed that, but it really is far away when you think about it. And her example is such a great example. If you look in the wrong place, you're not going to find necessarily the same things. And O'Hara on the stand, I think we touched on this last week, but he did explain why they did not search the grass. And if you go back to his explanation, it's likely the reason that MSP waited for that snow to melt in order to gather the rest of those pieces. They weren't planted there. They were always there, but it was difficult to search in that snow. And you can make whatever final conclusion you want about that. If you want to say it was lazy, if you want to say, you know, whatever you want to say about the investigation, that's what they did. And there is a logical reason as to why they did it. So yeah, you did a great job, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was awesome. Tuesday.
So yeah, so those clips were so good of the testimony, just to show all in one cohesive narrative here of what they searched first and then what they searched second. And nothing says conspiracy like calling in 6 people unrelated to come down and search and help put pieces of taillight in the snow. So the idea that they called CERT and brought in another party here is actually a good sign that they weren't being shady, that they weren't trying to close in and keep this a secret investigation. They were opening it up to more people, which if you're trying to hide something, you're not going to do. I mean, you are broadening the horizon of you getting caught, right? Because someone's going to have integrity. So I also wanted to point out, and I thought this was great. I found it. I have a little clip for you guys here. When Jenny said, made the comparison about the purse, this is false logic, right? It's a way of framing things. If you were to say, oh, well, that first search, Jenny didn't find the thing, whatever she was searching for. And it's like, if you break it down, she explained she only looked here and the second search was over here, right? So I have a little something for you guys. Hold on.
Shoe.
Oh, did it freeze? Oh, weird.
Oh my.
Where was the shoe?
I don't
the
know.
Canton police searched it. They took his body out of there, and he's wearing one shoe.
The other one's
Where's
gone.
the other shoe?
Okay. Does that concern
where's
you
the
at
shoe?
all?
So, as we know, he's not very good at looking for shoes, by the way, Eden. But that is how the framing worked in the public, right? You have this guy who's running around saying, I'm an award-winning journalist. I am telling you this is a conspiracy, and he's going on the show, this big, huge platform, and he's saying, where's the shoe? I mean, are you kidding me? So, anyways, that was my 2 cents.
Yeah, when the shoe was found at 5 o'clock that day. It's insanity.
Yeah.
Carrie, what about you?
Yeah, gee, that was awesome. It was so good. I think the one thing that I was thinking the most was when they were showing, Lieutenant Gallagher and Lieutenant Good and O'Hara, just how, they put all of these people in the conspiracy, right? Because everybody has to be involved. Everybody. I don't care what anyone in Free Karen Mead said. Every single person has to be involved. And they just destroyed all these good guys. And, Gallagher, I mean, with that snowblower, just like the Canton audit people said, that was brilliant. They wouldn't have had that blood. They wouldn't. And everybody would be saying that it was Brian Higgins or Brian Albert's blood, and that they, didn't collect it. So once again, it's just, when I watch something like that, it blows my mind that there's still people screaming conspiracy. And,
Do you
yeah.
remember the poster? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The poster board of the lady that was holding up the sign that was like, where is the blood? In the early protesting, and it's like they don't understand how water and blood work together.
Right.
So.
And I will say, I mean, I live in 5 minutes from that area, and guess what I use now to clean my driveway and my car and my stuff's off when it snows?
Yeah.
I use a leaf blower.
Yep.
And it works amazing. So it was pretty brilliant.
Yeah, and I guess what stood out to me, and that was a great job, Jenny, like you're just so good at putting that stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me. I guess when I went back through all of that, and when you listen to O'Hara, who's just like sharp as a tack, and Gallagher, who's just sharp as a tack, and you look at the amount of time that it took them to put all the pieces together, from a phone call from the hospital that says we're missing a shoe, to a team that's already, on their way to the scene, and how quickly they adapted to a horrific situation. I mean, that weather is a nightmare. And they were there, when they arrived on scene, it was almost dark. It's winter in the Northeast. It was getting dark very quickly. The wind is blowing, and people, every conspiracist's first shot is, it was a shoddy investigation. I think it's pretty damn good that they coordinated everything they did in just a few hours and found these critical pieces of information, and used their experience with auto pedestrian accidents to focus their search in a certain area near the roadway, since they knew that a vehicle had been involved. And, if you're not doing gymnastics, that's extremely impressive, is what I took away from all of that I thought it was very efficient for just hours after getting the information that it may have been a vehicular homicide or whatever.
They really got a bad, the lies and propaganda that they put out. They really did a number on these people. It's so gross and pathetic. It's so sad.
It is. And thank you for all the nice comments about those officers in the chat. That's awesome. So what about you, Carrie?
All right. So I'm going to talk about Karen's SUV tapping John's Traverse. in his driveway. So around 5 a.m. on January 29th, 2022, Karen Reed was about to leave One Meadows. So we know she had just called Jen McCabe and told her that she left John at the Waterfall Bar. Jen informed her that she saw her outside 34 Fairview. Karen said she didn't remember that. So after hanging up with Jen, Karen called Carrie Roberts, screaming. The first thing she said was, "Carrie, Carrie, Carrie, John's dead," and then she hung up. She called Carrie back and said, "I think something happened to John. I think he got hit by a plow." So Karen told Carrie she was coming to her house. So Karen leaves Fairview around 5:04 a.m. And we know Karen told both Jen and Carrie that she broke her taillight. And I think we already saw that clip, right? We already saw that clip that she admitted that. Both women have said she showed it to them when they arrived at John's house to make sure that he wasn't there, but the ring footage doesn't show that. So it appears they were just mistaken, which is understandable, given everything that went on that night. So if it didn't happen when they arrived, then it definitely happened when they left Meadows to go to Fairview. And strangely enough, the ring video of Karen showing Jen and Carrie the taillight is missing, just like the footage of the girls all leaving Meadows in Carrie's car. So we've all seen the video of her SUV backing out and tapping John's Traverse. I don't think anyone who's not in a cult or brainwashed or one of Karen's PR minions would think that Karen broke her taillight in that incident. However, that is what Karen in her defense claimed. So the Commonwealth hired Judd Welcher from Aperture. He's a biomechanical engineer and accident reconstructionist. And he recreated the scene in John's driveway using 3D laser scans. So I'm going to let Judd Welcher explain to us what he did there.
So referring to this slide, this is after the Lexus has pulled away. Looking in the snow, I see nothing in the snow.
Were you looking for anything in particular?
Of course I was. I was looking for taillight fragments.
In any of the videos that you have that show Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle after the defendant's Lexus touches it, do you ever see any remnants or shards or fragments of taillight on the ground?
I do not.
So that I have another clip of Judd Welcher explaining like the 3D scans and stuff in the driveway. That was the one that I need.
Uh-oh. Oh, I don't know. You might have to give me a second. I don't see that one.
If not, I can pull up my notes, trial notes from that day.
Hang on, I think. Here we go.
Oh, good.
Let's see if it'll open for me. No, I got to delete something. Hang on. Stand by for this low budget production. We have too many videos. We have broken the memory. Remove that. Okay.
Slide 88. So this is the Lexus lined up. This is when the Lexus has come to a complete stop. So this would be maximum engagement. Again, this is just toggling frame 88, showing that we have the time and the frame number. 369 on the same slide. We've now overlaid the Lexus laser scans on top of the image of the Lexus. So there's the video image, a still image that we took from the video. And here's where we overlay the laser scan of the Lexus. So we've overlaid the laser scan of the Lexus onto the Lexus. We've overlaid the laser scan of the Chevrolet onto the Chevrolet. And we've overlaid the laser scan of the scene onto the scene. So now what that allows us to do, we now know the position of everything in there. And we've also tracked the position of the tire tracks. So that's what it looks like if you overlay the computer model of Miss Reed's vehicle onto the tire tracks.
Slide over, please.
Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. Slide 89, and then I'm just toggling slide 89 where I turn the vehicle off so you can see how the tire positions match up. Another toggle of slide 89, how the tire positions line up with where the end of the snow was. From all that information, again, we lined it up in the video, we lined it up in the scene, we have the two vehicles. We can get the exact position of the vehicles when that Lexus stopped. So when that Lexus stopped, that's going to be the maximum engagement. So from that information, we can get the angle of the vehicle, we can get the degree of overlap, the impact configuration, and it's hard to see because of the angles and because these vehicles are not at right angles to each other, the exact contact. Now I mentioned, and we're on slide 94 now, that contact on the rear of the Chevy Traverse. So you can see we actually, you can't see, so we took a whole bunch of data points within those two areas where the snow got dislodged, and we're looking at where that is. So if you look at that on the vehicle, so this is where it is on the rear of Mr. O'Keefe's Chevrolet. You can see it's about 25 and a half inches above ground, 32 and a half inches above ground. Here's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. So these marks are kind of, this is the Chevy Traverse words, are approximately right here. Again, I had the opportunity to inspect Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. There's no damage where these marks are. So sure, it knocked the snow off, but it wasn't sufficient to cause damage to his vehicle. We then mapped that data onto Miss Reed's vehicle to look at where that height is. So you can see the only contact marks are down at the bumper level. I mentioned how that bumper sticks out. This is exactly where you'd expect it. So the only evidence of contact is nowhere near the upper taillight. I emphasize the word upper taillight because it is right in line with the lower taillight, but yet the lower taillight also was not broken. So again, 25 and a half, that's 24 right here, 25 and a half. That's 24 right here, 25, 25 and a half. That's right where that scuff mark was.
And everything that you did in this case, if a collision occurred at a lower speed, say 1, 2, anywhere from 0 to 5 miles an hour, would that create the damage to the taillight that you observed in this particular case?
At that speed, no.
Now, doctor, in the course of your analysis or review of materials here, were you ever provided with a video of the defendant backing out of a garage, making contacts with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in his driveway at about 5:07 in the morning on January 29th?
No.
Now, as far as from your review and your testing and everything that you did in this case, if a collision occurred at a lower speed, say 1, 2, anywhere from 0 to 5 miles an hour, would that create the damage to the taillight that you observed in this particular case?
At that speed, no.
Sorry, that was so quiet. I don't know what's going on with that clip.
Did the video play? I didn't even see it. Was Wolf there?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was really super quiet.
Oh, it didn't show the video on my screen.
Really?
Oh, weird. That's
No,
weird.
that's so
I
funny.
saw it.
Are they saying that in the chat too? Should I play it again?
I have I could do the presentation. Oh, it said we heard it.
Okay.
It's
I heard
playing
it.
over and over.
What?
Oh, Truth says I didn't see it either.
What in the world? You want me to try put it up there again?
Let me do the presentation version here. Hold on.
That's what I did.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird. So some people saw it and some people didn't.
What in the world?
Well, basically, it's just Dr. Wolf from ARCA saying that he was asked by Lowley, correct, that would that damage on that taillight, could it be caused by a reverse into the traverse with just a few miles per hour drive? And he said,
Sorry.
oh, so some didn't see it, but some heard it. That's so weird.
Do you want me to try putting it on the stage again? Just see, I can just do it for a second and see if it works.
Okay.
Something must be going on with StreamYard because that's kind of what happened with me.
It's so
Yeah.
quiet.
In this case,
Well, that's why. Oh,
if a collision occurred at a lower speed, say 1, 2, anywhere from 0 to 5 miles an hour, would that create the damage to the taillight that you observed in this particular case?
At that speed, no.
I heard it was in Spanish.
Now, doctor, in the course of your analysis or review of materials here, were you ever provided with a video of the defendant backing out of a garage and making contacts with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in his driveway at about 5:07 in the morning on January 29th?
No.
can you hear it and see it? Let us know in the chat. I'm just curious.
Why don't we just nix it? I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
In this case,
It's so quiet. I can
Yeah.
barely hear it. I don't know what that's about.
So what the reconstruction showed is that the geometry, the measurements, they don't line up. Karen's taillight never touches any part of John's traverse. All the contact between the Lexus and the Chevrolet occurred at bumper level. And they measured that, right? 25.5 to 32.5 inches off the ground. There was only 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap between the two vehicles. And this matches where the snow was dislodged from John's car, which they showed in those pictures. You can see where the snow was missing, which is exactly where the scuff mark was located on Karen's Lexus. So the upper taillight of the Lexus is higher and recessed, and there was no contact with it. It is physically impossible for Karen's taillight to obstruct the traverse. And additionally, she was traveling, I think, 0.5 mile per hour to 1 mile per hour when she tapped John's car. So it's certainly not, even if they did match up, but they didn't, which they didn't, but if they did, it still wouldn't have broken it at that speed. And like we just tried to show, Judd Welcher wasn't the only witness who testified that her Lexus would not have broken. Daniel Wolf, Crash Daddy, FKR's Crash Daddy hero, testified to the same, that wouldn't have happened with what we saw on video. So yeah, some of the most damning pieces of evidence against Karen Reed are the video and photos of her missing taillight. We see it on the camera at 5:04, which Lydia went through that whole timeline. So it's pretty important testimony showing that her car wouldn't have broken that, because obviously that's what they are going to continue to claim, apparently. And obviously it didn't. And another final fun fact is that a forensic expert stated that it was over 510 non-million times more likely that DNA they found on her broken taillight belonged to John O'Keefe. So that's pretty damning. That's all I got.
That is such a persistent lie that's told. It's worth going over that, I think. So Tuesday, what do you think?
So I just want to point out that the clip we saw of Dr. Wolf Arca, that was the first trial. So they did not do testing, right, to see if the SUV could have been damaged by the Traverse. And that trial ended in a mistrial. And then ARCA had lots of time to go and do their own testing. Why do you think that ARCA did not use any resources to prove that Karen backed up into that Traverse? They did not even attempt to do measurements. So I just want to put that out there for you guys. Why do you think ARCA did that? I think common sense would tell you that they know because Wolf even answered that question in the first trial, just based off of the speed of the car. It's just incredibly unlikely. So if they were to dig any deeper, that they know the answer they would find. So I believe in a hearing, wasn't it? Or I'm sorry, a motion or something, they had even suggested they wanted to go check the car out. And
well, actually, let me just another fun fact. They didn't only suggest it, they had made a date to go. I know this from, the O'Keefes. They had actually made a date to go to Meadows to do the measurements and do everything, but they canceled. So
yeah, this is, and if Karen didn't hit the Traverse, if the taillight didn't crack, in her own words, it didn't crack in that reverse, where did it crack?
Right.
Why is she able to pull pieces out of it? Why is she seeing a bulb?
Why is it at the crime scene?
Right.
Yeah.
Why is it in his clothes? It's just weird.
It's so weird.
How that happens.
So, Popcorn Lydia. Did you guys play that in school?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a core memory.
Yeah.
I did a video on this, and this makes me very angry. This is a subject that I find extremely upsetting as a person who is related to several engineers. But there is a saying that the rules that govern engineering are written in blood. And the reason for that is a lot of the engineering standards that we have today were designed around horrific boiler accidents in factories. And so when they say they're written in blood, it's because if you do not properly follow the rules of engineering, then people die. They lose their lives. And the code of ethics, and I did a video on this that I'll post a link to, the code of ethics for professional engineers absolutely does not allow what ARCA did in these two trials. The fact that you would not do the basic test that Judd Welcher did to line up those two vehicles and see if it's even possible, so if it's falsifiable, that these two vehicles could come together in a way that would break Karen's taillight in that collision, that is a violation of the professional ethics of engineers. It just is. These people are terrible, unethical, immoral people who have violated the code of conduct of their profession by committing these sins of omission, as Tuesday said, leaving out information, not doing the testing they needed to do to determine that this is absolutely impossible, that what you saw in that video broke Karen's taillight. In addition to the fact that temporally it couldn't have happened in the timeline because of what we know about the way her taillight looked and where the pieces of the taillight were. That is a violation of the standards of their profession, and they should be ashamed of themselves. They are terrible people. And they went out of their way for whatever reason to harm John's family, and I'm mad about it. So, awful, Jenny.
Well, as much as I love Welcher, I thought he did such an amazing job presenting everything. I mean, and he really does show it's not possible. It didn't happen. You know, we even have the ring video where she's pulling away and it's super crisp and clean. They cleaned it up a lot for trial too. There's no tail light on that driveway. You can see it. We didn't play it here, but you can see there is nothing on that driveway when she pulls away.
Which there would be.
Right. For as much as was missing, it would all be there. We would be able to see it as clean as that video was made in trial too. But what I wanted to say is, you know, even if they want to dismiss Welcher because they hated Welcher, as much as we loved him, they hated him. Dismiss him, okay? Go ahead and dismiss him. Just throw out everything he said and listen to the guy that you love. The wolf.
Crash daddy.
I'll keep my comments to myself. Wolf, listen to him. She could not have broken her taillight on John's vehicle going at that speed. The damage that she caused would never have been caused at that speed. Their own person told them, and they don't want to hear it. They ignore it. They don't want that brought up. They say, every time I've played that clip for them, they say, oh, well, there's more. No, there's not. It's right there, black and white. She could not have done that damage on John's car from your own person. So disregard anybody on prosecution side. Listen to your wonderful. Again, I'm going to keep my comments to myself.
I really love the restraint. I can see it.
I'm holding myself back. But anyway, listen to him. I mean, he says it all right there.
He does.
I think it's worth noting too, is that when people who support Karen and think she's innocent, when this whole topic comes up, they would say, well, he's asked if it could cause all that damage, you know, instead of being cracked. Like they're pulling apart the words of like him answering it that particular way. But if that's the case, he could have done the testing again, right? In trial 2, and they didn't. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, guys, remember, it wasn't even ARCA that was supposed to do that testing. They went out and hired an entire person.
They did.
And then that person just disappeared.
Because you can't fake measurements, right? Like it doesn't fit. It won't fit. Her taillight won't connect with his car. So they can go and do any test they want. It's not possible.
Right.
But you can't get an arm that's the wrong weight. And that's what they did. They're just so awful.
Yeah.
I have a legal question. I mean, I know we're not lawyers, so I don't, but I know some of you guys watch trials so much and know the ins and outs. So if I'm correct, or if we know, the Commonwealth is not allowed to bring on an expert and not like their opinion and then get rid of them? Or are they allowed to do that?
You don't have to use them, but you still have to turn over what they said.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the defense does not have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good to know, right? I mean, the defense gets a lot of leeway, which they should, right? I mean, it comes down to, I think it was Big Mike was telling us last week, you know, it's the Commonwealth, their job is to, you know, prove it. I forget the way he worded it now. I'm gonna misstate it, but you know, the defense is there with more tools to try and knock it down, right? But it is worth noting,
right? Somebody's life. They're on trial.
Yeah. Which makes it much harder for the prosecution to be shady.
Yes.
What about you, Julie?
So fun fact, my dad was an engineer and he actually did design boilers. So just wanted to say that. I'm off topic, but you know, I mean, you guys all make great points, and Carrie, that was great. There's no way she broke her taillight on that Traverse. And if the defense wants to stick by that, and all of the people who believe what the defense is saying, then why didn't they prove it? Like, why aren't you asking that question? If that's what happened, it should be very easy for you to prove. And yet they didn't present any of that. They didn't even present it into the public, right? So all the stuff they leaked out into the public, they didn't, leak some tests that said, hey, look, it was definitely broke here. So I wish that the people who listen to what the defense is saying as gospel would start asking those questions.
Yes. And, one thing I did forget to mention, and none of us have mentioned, which is really important when we're talking about the Taillight, right? Before Julie gets into to her part, is another, Free Karen Reed hero favorite, Officer Barrows. He saw the exact same taillight that everybody else saw.
Do you agree with that?
Sorry.
That's okay. At 5:09 a.m. and 8:22 a.m. And on Karen's, the tow truck. And like I always say, and I actually made this post on Twitter, if Alan Jackson had done what the clip we're going to watch right now, if Alan Jackson had done that, that was such a Perry Mason moment, because it just destroyed all of Barrows's testimony, because he was put up there, right, to say that the taillight didn't look like that it was teeny weeny and whatever. And then at the end, watch this clip. It's unbelievable. Brennan gets him to admit it's exactly what it looked like. So no one in that trial saw her taillight. Everybody saw her taillight look like it did when it got to the Southport. It looked no different.
Do you agree with that?
I would.
If we could have Exhibit 10, please. Does that appear to be the same Lexus you looked at when it was in Dighton? And it's a far view, so I don't want you to guess. If you're not sure, you can tell me.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can't.
We have Exhibit 11, please. Can you take a look to the right? You see that right tail light, the white part?
I can.
Missing, yes?
Looks like snow is packed on it.
Does it look like there's a red tail light there?
Does not.
This is before you saw the car in Dighton. Do you know that, or you wouldn't know that?
That doesn't look like the Reed's driveway.
Do you know if this photograph was taken before or after you made your observations in Dighton?
I do not.
The right rear taillight and the missing parts there, is that consistent with what you saw around 3:27 on January 29, 2022?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make another. If everybody would just notice, do you see how hard Brennan has to pull the answers out of these defense witnesses, how biased they all are? I laughed out loud. My mic was off, thank God, when he has to literally say, well, does it look like a red taillight? These people, he would not admit it. And if this was a normal jury, they would have disregarded his whole testimony, just like they would have disregarded Arca's whole testimony. That just blows my mind.
And you have to ask yourself, what is the motivation that is so strong that many people would sit in that chair and take that oath and lie? I have a theory.
What is it?
But just think about it. There are only a few motivations in the world that make people do very bad things. About 2 of them account for 99% of it. So just ask yourself, what would it take to get you to tell that lie? Everybody has a price.
Yeah, and I feel like they were also so enthralled with these people, right? Like Barrows admitted he went and met them at a hotel. Remember how weird that was? And
very weird.
Yeah.
Coco is very talkative today.
She has some thoughts.
It's a problem.
Yeah. She's very upset about the taillight. Remember, I don't think we don't have the clip ready, but I was just thinking about it because I think you sent it to us earlier in the week, Carrie, where Alessi stopped Welcher from talking when Welcher was like, "Do you want me to explain?" When he was showing like,
and he was like, there's like a pause, and he's like, "Sir,
yeah.
I think I've made my point." And there was like no point made. It was like,
There were so many great moments with Alessi.
You know what I was trying to find, you guys? I was trying to find the clip to play where he was yelling, where he was telling the judge to stop, that he kept using his hands. Do you remember that?
Yes. Oh, vividly.
I couldn't find it. I was so mad.
So
when he was all shrieky and he was like, "I wasn't doing anything, Judge." Brr.
And one of them, Welcher's like, "Do you want me to explain?" And Alessi, "No."
Weirdo. Such a weirdo. All right. We're going to talk about Glass now.
So exciting, guys. I hope you're ready to talk about Glass. Actually, it's just a quick thing I wanted to cover. However, did we decide, is this just 1 week or just one day we're doing Taillight, or are we doing a part 2?
I think we're just doing one day.
Okay, so then I wanted to add in real quickly. I have 2 quick clips of Karen. One of her statement saying she remembers hitting the traverse, and then one clip of her saying she didn't know she hit the traverse until she saw it on the Ring video. Just so we can, oh, you know what else we have? Ooh, this is gold. Okay, I'll just share this real quickly. I can't tell what is what.
You just need to attack us with Aiden and traumatize us, so we have some trust issues with you right now.
Okay, let me see. If I can't pull it up, I'll just do it after Julie's.
Do you need to delete?
You know what? I will just do this after. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Out of a garage.
Out of a garage. Is that at John's house?
At John's, yep.
In backing up, did you bang into his car?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Did you feel it? Did you hear it?
Yeah, I felt a little, and I
On your back right,
on my passenger back right. Yep.
you
I
felt
hit
it.
John's back left.
Okay, so sorry, the volume is really low. I hope you guys could hear it. I don't really know what's up with our StreamYard, but here is, oops. Here is the other quick video of her saying that she does not know. Oh, here. Sorry. I don't know why even my filings are coming up.
Looked at the Ring videos after I was indicted that I could see clearly I bumped the back of John's car.
Oops. You guys still hear it?
It's so quiet. I don't know what is going on.
Okay, so just so for those of you guys, I might make a video later, montage we can just add up onto our YouTube of these clips and fix the volume on them. But one clip, she's saying she remembers feeling a jolt when she bumped into John's Traverse. The other one, she didn't even know until she saw the Ring footage. So pick the story you like of hers and then just go with that. We also had, Bill Reed's statement that he recalls in the hospital, Karen saying she struck something. However, I think it was Ginny that pointed it out. The actual full statement was cropped out, but it was put in an article, right, Ginny?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
the
believe
televised article was a little different than the televised interview. Yeah.
so. It says Bill. Okay, yeah. In the segment that aired on Boston 25, Bill Reed said, "No, no, no. She felt she struck something. She said, "Dad, I think I struck something." Bill added that Karen told him, "I remember backing up and hitting something, but I can't say what it was." So that last part, "but I can't say what it was," was not in the video clip, which, do you guys think it makes a difference? I mean, I kind of think that missing sentence even adds more. I mean, you're in a like what 10-foot driveway. I don't know how big it is, right? But it's hard to reverse out. So you're gonna know what you hit. So you're worried you found out your boyfriend, you just found out he died, and you're worried about that you struck something that you don't recall striking, and yet you just struck it just a few hours before.
Very carefully with the alarm beeping as she describes in an interview and reenacts dramatically.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on to the glass topic. Did you guys have any comments on that before we move on?
No.
Okay. So real quickly, I'm just going to do this. If you remember Hanley, I'll put this up here. So Christina Hanley was the forensic scientist, and there was shards of glass from the cup that John O'Keefe was holding that night, right? And so they found some in the lawn, but they also found some glass pieces on the bumper. So the misconception or the misframing, and it kind of is a lot like how the topic Jenny was talking about regarding the searches, right? It's a false framing to say, they didn't find it in the first search, when that wasn't even the location and the purpose of that particular search, right? So with the glass pieces, they were saying, oh, well, the glass shards found on the bumper do not match the glass cup. And that was supposed to be very, very suspicious. But we just want to point out here. So first off, she analyzed the debris collected from John's shirt and sweatshirt. The tiny pieces of clear and red plastic were discovered. The largest of the size was a size of rice. Oh, I was going to bring a little rice just so we could see it. That was the largest size. The smallest being under a 1/16 of an inch. I know you guys probably can't see this picture very well, but it's the photo under a microscope, and you can actually see threads of John's clothing wrapped around this shards of plastic.
Can you zoom in on that or no? It's a really powerful picture.
I know.
That's okay.
And then as we move down here, and we want to point out that the shards were consistent in color and instrumental properties of Karen's broken light. So there's a difference between mechanical and instrumental properties. Mechanical fit is a puzzle. When you're putting a puzzle together and you find the piece that fits in the next piece, that's a mechanical fit. Instrumental piece would be, in layman's terms, right? If we think of a puzzle, it's you have another piece that really matches this puzzle. You just don't know where it goes. You haven't found the mechanical match yet. You may be missing pieces in between there in order to do a mechanical match. So it's very clear that this is Taillight, though, because it's an instrumental match, right? And they were able to put a lot of things together. But I don't even know if they attempted to put some of these micro pieces in there at all. But so, I'm going to have to take the bottom comment off this screen so I can read this. Are you able to do that, Lydia, real quick? Oh, okay, thank you. So the scientist describes how glass pieces discovered at the crime scene match the broken cocktail glass near the victim. She also analyzed several glass pieces located on the bumper of the SUV and one located on scene. They were not a mechanical match with the cocktail glass, but was consistent with the instrumental properties of the cocktail glass. So again, what we just talked about. So they didn't have all the pieces to be able to make a mechanical match, but it still matched the instrumental properties. So that was just something that people went wild over in the Karen is innocent, was kind of this generalized logic of like, oh, it doesn't fit. There's this, I don't know if they thought Proctor sprinkled weird glass on there, which would also be a very weird way to frame someone. And then I think I have one other, not sure if this is important or not, but let me pull it up because it's in my. Okay, so this is just a picture of the glass cup. The scientist describes how glass pieces discovered at the crime scene match the broken cocktail glass near the victim. I know what I wanted to point out was defense attorney Jackson points out that one glass shard found at the crime scene that matched the pieces on the bumper was collected by, dun, 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 an investigator. It just so happened to be investigator Proctor, but they need that to look suspicious that an investigator was investigating. And defense suggests, this is wonderful right here. Defense suggests that the plastic shards scraped from John's clothing that the scientist said is consistent in color and instrumental properties of the taillight is not a definitive conclusion. He suggests it's possible that it could be from another source with those properties, and she says it's possible. So right there, Jackson's trying to say it could be someone else's taillight, right? Maybe Proctor used someone else's taillight. So that is the end of the glass coverage.
You're muted, Lydia.
Well, everything I just said was so brilliant. I'm sorry. I'm never going to be able to recreate that. Okay. So my comment is that everything that we talked about in the timeline about where Michael Proctor was for that entire day, and that he was with Buchanan, and that he was at the hospital, and obviously he's on video at the hospital, and in all of this, we know for a fact that Michael Proctor could not have put any of this evidence at the scene. None of that happened. It's impossibility. But what the defense conveniently leaves out of all of the noise around Michael Proctor and around the taillight and around the glass and all of that is that we know that the defense has Michael Proctor's entire phone extraction, right? Because that's how they crucified him. They crucified him with his phone extraction. You know what's in your phone extraction? Your location, where you were for that entire 2 to 3 to 5 day period where all of this evidence was collected. It's easily provable that Michael Proctor was nowhere near that scene, that he couldn't have had any of the evidence that the CERT team uncovered under 2 feet of snow. They have all of that information, and they know that it's a lie. So the phone's great when you need it, when you need to crucify Michael Proctor for text messages he sent to his own friends that had nothing to do with his work. But when you could easily disprove every argument you have about the conspiracy, the phone is nowhere to be found. It's just vanished into the air. That's all I have to say about the glass. Jenny?
So the picture that Tuesday showed was kind of hard to see, but if you look at it, I'm sure we all know what we're talking about. If you compare the size of the thread to the pieces, it's very easy to see how small those pieces actually were. And keep in mind, they weren't just sitting on top of his shirt. They had to be scraped out of his sleeve, right? So she actually, I forget the instrument she described it though. I think it was a metal type spatula instrument is kind of how she described it that she used to scrape those pieces out of his sleeve. So they weren't loosely sitting there. They were embedded into his shirt. So how do they, I don't understand how they reason that away, how they think that, do they think that Proctor sat and crushed with his foot like taillight pieces into John's shirt? Like what do they, how do you reason that away?
While he was in the car on the way to Dighton?
Right.
The other thing.
I mean, it's
insanity.
Yeah, it's just another piece of insanity. It's something they don't, I haven't been fighting with them lately, so I don't know what they've been saying about it. I've been mostly ignoring them because I'm so over it. Like I'm really tired of them. But you know, it's just everything is just, if you actually look at the evidence with clear eyes, it's all right there.
What about you, Julie? You still got a little fight in you for these people?
Yeah. I have been fighting with these people, but you know, Karen went all in on saying that the pieces didn't match, right? She went all in on that. There's actually a clip of her on the courthouse, excuse me, I can't talk, the courthouse steps, you know, telling the media how they didn't match. And when Jackson cross-examined Hanley, you know, he had the poster boards and all of this stuff, and they were really counting on the fact that people would not understand and they would be confused. Am I still going?
Yes.
Because my whole screen froze. Sorry, you guys. They were really counting on the fact that people would be confused by it, right? And a lot of people were, especially her followers. If you break a glass, it's going to be almost impossible to put that glass back together. And that's why you don't have the physical matches. You know, just go in your kitchen and throw something on the ground, you know, a glass, any kind of glass, and then see how many physical matches you have. They're not all going to be physical matches. So I think it's on to you, Carrie.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's just one of those things, you know, I mean, it's the cocktail glass that we all saw him leave Waterfall with, right? And, you know, that they think the witnesses placed the cocktail glass and the straw near John. It's just, it's asinine. And, you know, like Ginny said, the glass in his clothes was embedded. So Michael Proctor would have had to sit there with a sewing kit for days and days, just putting it doesn't make any sense. I mean, they did a really good job of just.
You know what I just thought of too is if John walked in the house with his cup and they hit him and the cup shattered. So, I mean, all these things they'd have to do. They went to go pick up all this glass. I mean, they'd be risking putting their fingerprints on it. Why even bring the glass outside? Like what glass? That's all they had to say. What glass? There was no glass.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd.
And some of those, if you know, like Ginny said about the size of the thread, some of those pieces would not have been visible to the naked eye. So unless Proctor is like in the Borg and can see microscopic things, I don't know how that works. And all of that assumes, you know, believing that conspiracy also assumes he had access to it, which he didn't, which we already proved with the timeline. Right. So, right. And it was a match to the taillight. So it's not like it's, like you said, somebody else's taillight mixed in there. It's just silly. Okay. Julie, you are up.
Yep. So we are going to talk about how Karen got people to believe this. I might be a little behind you guys because I'm having problems with my internet again, so I apologize. But we're going to talk about how she put that into the collective conscious, that taillight was only cracked, right? That it wasn't missing pieces, that it wasn't substantially damaged in the one area. Even though we've seen those pictures, people still deny them. So if we go back to when she was arrested for the murder, right? June of 2022, we've heard that video several times. Karen is like, hey, we're all in on the same joke, right? You know, my taillight is cracked and John was pulverized. So she started pretty much the moment she was arrested for murder, saying that somehow the taillight was cracked, but it wasn't a part of what happened to John. And so then I had my first thing that I want to play for you guys is David Yannetti. And this is David Yannetti at Karen's arraignment. So let's put that up.
We have photographic evidence that my client's vehicle before it was taken by the police was in different condition than when the police actually evaluated it.
So yeah, I am curious as to what his photographic proof was. Was it the video from her parents' driveway? Because we can see in that video that taillight is cracked. Was he trying to say the way the vehicle looked prior to having the taillight removed? Remember, they removed that. Was he trying to say that? I really don't know on that date what Mr. Yannetti was trying to say. However, what I do know as of this date is they have never come out with any kind of photographic proof to show that the taillight was in some kind of different condition before the police got it than it was after. I'm still waiting for that one. So the next thing that I wanted to point out about this, so this is 2022. In August of 2022, we know that Karen reached out to Alan Jackson, right? So she wanted to add him to the team. Recently, in the past couple weeks, I had posted the full email where Karen talks about she's not really sure if David Yannetti, I think she mentions his work and his ethics, and she's not really sure if he's going to go along with what Jackson is going to do. So that's August. Then in September, Jackson comes on. On September 8th, Court TV had filed correspondence with the court. They were going to cover, it seems like, and I don't have the correspondence, so I can't tell you for sure what that said, but it certainly seems like to me that they were gearing up to cover a hearing. But remember that when I start telling you guys these next few things. So in the beginning of September, Court TV sends correspondence to the court about covering Karen's case. It wasn't the first time. They had done it in July, but this is September 8th. And then on September 15th, there is a motion. And that motion is the epicenter of the conspiracy. That's where they unveil it. It showed up on the docket, I think, on 9/19. If you guys haven't read that motion, it's the motion where they go after everyone's phones, right? So they're going after Julie Albert's phone, Colin Albert's phone, Brian Albert's phone, Brian Higgins' phone, Julie Nagel's phone, Matt McCabe's phone, all of these people. I don't know if you guys realize they went after like almost every single person in that house. They wanted their phones, and they laid out this conspiracy, right? This is where they lay out the taillight. The taillight is mentioned. So that is on the 15th. It's dated, shows up on the docket on 9/19. And Jackson comes into the case at this time. And then a few days later, on September 23rd, 2022, is when they leak that video to Court TV of her coming out of the garage. So I want to play this video of Vinnie Politan, right? So we're debuting the conspiracy theory, and this is what he says about it. And I think it's really interesting. So I want to listen to what he says before
the
he
defense
plays
has a
this
whole different theory about what happened here. I'm not.
The defense has a whole different theory about what happened here. I'm not calling it a conspiracy theory like in the negative way, but it's a theory involving a conspiracy. Okay, there's a difference. There's a difference. There's no one like landing from Mars or anything. There's a difference. But they are alleging some sort of a conspiracy.
Did you hear the way he said that, right? Because it is pretty much out there, right? They were like, nobody on CNN is going to.
Julie, your Wi-Fi is going in and out.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can you guys hear her, or is she cutting out?
No, it's cutting out. Maybe cut your video, Julie.
Yeah, I think it's because I didn't have the box open. So I just opened the box again because it went away when I was playing the videos. Can you guys, is it better now?
Now it's better. Yep. So start over. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. From the beginning?
Just from after that
Do you want me to
clip.
start over from the beginning?
No. Just from after that clip.
After Vinny's clip?
Yep.
Yep. So the way Vinny framed that, right? He was very nervous about the conspiracy, and he was trying to convince his audience that, it's not some way out there conspiracy. It's just how did he even say it? It was ridiculous what he was trying to say. But I think it was because, like, how are you going to sell this to people, right? This is insane, like what you're accusing people of, and you're accusing the police of. If you guys haven't watched that Court TV, it's like a 15-minute segment. And like I said, that's where they gave Court TV the footage of her backing out of the garage. If you haven't seen that, you should go back and watch it, because after they play that, then they have 4 guests on. And I believe almost every single one of those guests went all in on, police being corrupt. So it's really interesting in retrospect to watch it. So obviously, in the fall of 2022, they were trying to sell this conspiracy theory, and it really did not get picked up until Aidan Carney showed up, and he showed up in April of 2023. And so once Aidan showed up, then there were other content creators and other people that got involved in it. And there was one content creator that came in the summer of 2023. His name was Sean McDonough. And I'm not sure how many people know who Sean is. He's an interesting guy. He had a lot of clout with the conspiracy crowd because he is a former DEA agent. So here you had a law enforcement person saying, yep, there are so many things wrong with this. And a lot of the people Sean brought with him were also former law enforcement. So I'm going to play this this clip of Sean, our favorite memories of Sean. I hope you guys enjoy it, because I really love this one.
Be, put the saddle on you and broken. But this, on my part, I would be reckless if I didn't listen to my own. Jesus, I don't know how this happens. What the hell happens here? I'm not going to, I sat on it. I'm not stupid. I sat on it until the right moment. It's like hiding the salami.
Yeah.
At some point, that salami is going to smell, right?
Yeah.
I saw a little head nod here, yeah, a little tip, a little head, right? You're a shell of a man. You always had no confidence at all. To this day, how old are you? Listen, I'm embarrassed by it, all right? But let's face.
Oh my God. Oh
yeah,
my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sean, that maybe people did not know back then, is Sean was in contact with Karen regularly. He was talking to Karen regularly. The other person that Sean was in contact with every single day, which he said on his show, is Olivia Lamb. So Sean and Olivia Lamb were in pretty thick. And so when Sean showed up on the scene, his background gave him credentials, right? People believed what he was saying. And Sean showed up for a very, very specific thing. And I'm going to play the next clip of Sean so that you guys can all find out why he was around.
I told him, I said, listen, Turtle, I'm only going to be around for another month and a half, then I'm leaving. And the bottom line is, I did that stupid Taillight project, and when I did it, I left. Okay? I don't know.
Yikes.
So Sean was specifically there. Hold on a second, you guys. I'm sorry. Sean was specifically there to push the Taillight, right? And he used other law enforcement people with him to basically say, I think that the theory they were floating is Berkowitz and some other person took out the Taillight, and then, Proctor planted it. But it really took on a lot of steam with Sean behind it, because people were like, oh my gosh, this guy is former law enforcement. Like, they believed him. He had credibility. Yeah. And so Sean did a lot of things when he was covering the story. One of the things that he did right before, because he left for a little bit, he actually did leave for a little bit. He comes back and forth. But when he left, yep. Did someone say my name?
Mm-mm.
Oh, sorry, guys. I thought somebody said my name. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, right before Sean left, and this was about October of 2024, the wrongful death case had been filed against Karen in August of 2024. So it's about 2 months later. And I've told you Sean was in contact with Karen. So he had this show, and he made an accusation. He had been making the accusation for a very long time that Carl Dougal, John's close friend, was involved in getting the Traverse repaired. He put that out into the public, and people accuse Carl of that, which is just a horrible thing. Imagine it's your best friend and you're somehow involved in covering up his murder. But I think for me, this particular clip with what Sean did with his show and what he did as far as harming people is probably one of the most harmful things he did. So I'm going to play that one right now.
This is? Can anybody look at that? I know it's kind of crazy to see. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. I can't. Whoa, that's true. Who said that? Now the mouse is really broken. That's right. That's John's car. You know who that is behind it? Come on. You know who that is behind it? No, not Break. That's John's car, the Traverse. That's right. That's in John's backyard. Show it again. It's right there. Nope, not Paul. Nope, not Carl Dougal here. That's right. Who said that? His dad. All right, now listen. The car's half. The car, well, first of all, we know this is a still, right? No, it's not Shiny Brian. No, it's Mr. O'Keefe, all right? This is Mr. O'Keefe, John Sr., okay? So, here's the bottom line, people. That's a screenshot of a video. And so people took shots at me because of what I said. That gentleman right there knows, and he's looking right at that damage. I can't give you the video, okay? He's looking exactly where the damage is on John's car. State police, on the murder of a Boston cop, gave that car 6 days. Yeah, John Sr. there, whoever that was. That's John Sr. That's the father. Remember I told you the father knew, and he said that Carl Dougal had it fixed? They didn't want to give it up. Didn't want to give it up. But there's a video that proves it all. Carl. Right? You don't think I have receipts, people? This is Big Daddy, man. I'm in this all the way. All the way. All the way. Chad. I can act with everyone. I can act with everyone. He knows the truth. He absolutely knows the truth. And they're all going down. Now, do I feel bad for Mr. O'Keefe? Absolutely. You kidding me? Of course they want Karen's money. Let me tell you something right now. Of course they want this suit in first. Of course they do, because they know they don't have a chance of convicting her. All right? They don't have a chance in hell. Where the hell did this thing go? So, we know we know what this is, right? We know this is the video surveillance, right, of the backyard of John. We've seen many videos of this area when they were shoveling and when Karen backed up and all this stuff. This is a snippet of a video. Mike Shoot, I hope you're there, buddy. I'm sorry, my friend. I waited a long time. I know I held you out, but Mikey, I told you to always trust me. Always trust me. This is the linchpin right here.
What a piece of crap.
Yep, he did that to John's dad. Yeah, they accused Mr. O'Keefe of being involved in it. I can't think of anything more cruel than to accuse a parent of being involved in something like that. And so when you look at that picture could have only come from one place, right? It wasn't coming from the prosecution. That picture came from Karen. And Karen was okay with this person getting on the internet and accusing John's father of doing that. And so Ginny did a lot of work behind the scenes, and she got us some information from the first trial with her FOIA request. I'm going to play for you guys where that picture actually came from. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to play it. And so there's that sweet man who has lost his son, clearing the snow from his car. And Karen was okay with taking that and twisting it. The content creators, with the things that they did, they were able to push into the public all of Karen's ideas. Her big conspiracy, the taillight being one. Obviously, she chose Sean. She chose Sean for a reason. And that's how she did it, right? I mean, using these content creators. That video makes me very sad. And it makes me very sad that in Karen's twisted, demented mind, she would do something like that with it in response to being sued in civil court. That is just... it's beyond, and I think it speaks volumes for the type of person that Karen is. So yeah, that's my part. Who's the first person that would like to comment? I don't have the list up.
Carrie.
Well, I mean, I was going to say when I was going to comment, I mean, she's the same person that pushed out that he wanted to sit with her family in trial, right? It's the same person that blamed a 17-year-old kid and ruined his life. I mean, she is a terrible person. Like, I don't, especially, you know, when people watch a show like this and see all the evidence and see, you know, her taillight clearly wasn't broken when she left the house. I don't know how anyone can keep supporting her after what she's done to this family. And what she's doing to the witnesses now, she's suing the witnesses for talking to the police, testifying. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I watched that video of John's dad this morning, and it made me cry. You know, to see him
I mean, he's taking care of his car for him.
Yeah, he's taking care of his car. So many people have been hurt and without zero remorse. I mean, zero remorse from any of these people. I really would hope that some of these content creators, and Sean, I'm talking to you, that you apologize to the O'Keefes for what you did. You apologize to Carl for what you did. Apologize to the Alberts. I mean, Sean was the one that put out that rumor that Colin was on steroids and they were teaching him to fight. You know, his uncle was giving him steroids. He's also the one that put out, you know, the swinging thing, which now we know it did come from Karen. You know, it's just, I hope someday that some apologies are given to the family and the friends and the witnesses for what they did, because it was really awful, truly awful. This one, to go after Mr. O'Keefe that way. And I think the other part of why it's so upsetting is Karen, you know, from the beginning was like, she liked Mr. O'Keefe and they were really close or whatever. And, you know, she had no problem going after that poor man. Really gross, super gross.
Yeah, she'll go after anyone. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why Mike called her a malignant narcissist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she is, no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt that she
Why
is.
would John's dad want to frame Karen? I mean, we got to look
Great
at this
question.
logically. What is the motive behind that?
Why would Carl Dugall want to frame Karen?
Yeah, it's almost like that song, "You're So Vain, You Probably Think This Frame Job's About You." I mean, to think that half a city is framing you. I mean, literally, why would John's dad want, after losing John, want the other person who's been in those kids' life to go away? That makes no sense. And it's egregious to even put that out there. And I think too is, and you know, we're seeing a lot of crazy stuff right now, right, with the Nancy Guthrie case and all these going around and whatnot. We do have other clips, and we won't show them today, but I definitely think we need to at some point show those. I don't think we've done it before, is of Sean admitting that Karen was telling him that the DA's office, or that Michael Morrissey's office was wiretapped, and that the feds were coming. And here we want to ask, why would a murder defendant know this information? Either she's lying or she's being treated with extra privilege by higher ups somewhere and leaking information. And I don't know. I've always thought it was she's lying because she lies a lot. But as we've kind of unfolded this whole connection to some of those higher ups, it makes me wonder how privileged this woman is that she was able to have this type of information. So
yeah.
And if you can look at that poor dad, you know, with all he has left of John, and turn that into fodder, like, you are a terrible person, Sean McDonough. Like, I thought you were a terrible person before. You're even a worse person than I thought, which seems impossible. That is disgusting.
Yeah.
That is so depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really hard to watch. You know, I mean, I don't know how, if you're a person that has a moral compass, how you can watch that and not be affected by that.
Do you think that she sent him the video of the dad?
I
or
do.
you think she sent him the picture?
I think
that-
she did the same thing that she did with Aiden. I think she sent him the video and she said, you can show this picture.
Okay, because I was wondering if she perhaps just sent him that picture and was, and gave the idea to him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only way we'll find out is if Sean ever tells people exactly what happened. I think, at least to the O'Keefes, he owes that to them to say, hey, this is what happened. This is why I said that. He doesn't have to necessarily do it publicly, but
Just
he owes
like
that to that.
Right. When we see some of the text messages she was sending Aiden, right? The FBI is coming and you're going to be on Dateline. And I just wonder if she, did that to a lot of people, but I guess we'll never know.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure she did.
Even if she sent just that video, there's a lot more to that. I'll clip it and put it all together. So let's say she did just send that one. There was a specific purpose. There was a reason she didn't send the others. The other videos that connect to that one are of him cleaning the entire car. He's got a snow shovel, or I don't know, an ice scraper. I don't know anything about snow, whatever. He has something and he's cleaning off the windows. He's cleaning off the hood. He's cleaning off the doors. I think Lydia said it or someone said it. It's a father doing something for his son. It's all he has left to do. I texted you guys when I got those videos, and I'm going to cry again. I was crying watching it. I mean, it's so sad thinking about where Mr. O'Keefe was at that point. I mean, his son died, and
second child. Yeah.
All he had left to do was take care of his car and take care of the children John left behind. He was doing what he could do.
And it's probably one of those moments too where you're like, what do I do? Like you're just so probably going in circles trying to figure out what you can do,
Well, there's lot. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of video where he's at the front door, he's in the driveway, he's on the sidewalk. There's so much video of Mr. O'Keefe shoveling snow.
Yeah.
It's what he was doing to keep himself busy. Yeah. And just the fact that that's what she chose to send and not everything else. Right. It's disgusting.
Well, no one is ever going to love her like
if you remember.
Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember that day before John died, he was there. Mr. O'Keefe was there. He liked to come and sit on John's couch. Papa liked to go over there and be around John and be around those kids. I can't imagine what it would be like to be at my child's house. And like Tuesday said, he was probably just trying to find things like to keep himself busy, which wow. And then to have that used that way. It's bottom of the barrel behavior. I think it's depraved. In my opinion, it's depraved to do something like that.
It is. And this is how they gave all these people permission, right, to go after his parents. This is, just even the simple thing like that. She made it okay, her and Aiden, to go after this man's parents, which is just, when do you see that? It's just vile. It's vile. They're still doing it. They're still doing it. Boozy Beauty's making a post the other day or yesterday that, she's stalking Mrs. O'Keefe, that Carrie Roberts is at her house. It's insane what they have done to his parents.
I mean, we had Carrie Roberts on here, and she is friends with the family. She helps with the kids.
Close. Yes, she will be over there. So will Jen. They're close. I don't know what that was. And she was trying to insinuate they're discussing the civil case. They're not. These people are nuts. Nuts.
Yeah.
Well, and she protected John's dad for a while, right? Like
you did.
For a while there, she was trying to make it seem like he was on her side.
Yes.
He wants to sit with me. She kept him kind of close. So she did care about him at one point. Like we know Karen has this weird thing with men and women. Like
and she did it with Higgins too, right?
Right.
Higgins.
But then when the civil stuff came out, all bets were off. And that's when this finally came out, because now she was no longer going to protect him or anybody that was suing her.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a lot.
We can't leave on a sad note. You have to,
No.
you have to rescue us Tuesday.
Well, I don't know how much of a rescue this is, but I thought of something that needed to probably also be mentioned and I noticed someone sent me a clip the other day of someone who is trying to claim that there was a conspiracy, and they were saying the tow truck was an hour drive and that the drive is only, less than that. And I looked up the drive. I didn't put in the address this time. I remember doing it a while ago, but I put in Dighton to the Canton police station, and it's somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes, give or take, right? So they were alluding to the fact that that gave enough time for, I guess, the tow truck to pull over and I mean, I don't even know what to say. It was a blizzard.
Yeah,
it was a blizzard.
It goes really slow when there's 28 inches of snow.
I mean, especially like even on a sunny day, driving behind a tow truck, you guys.
So now the tow truck driver's involved in the.
Then you would have to bring in the tow truck driver. I mean, this is how much of an absurdity that you have to believe. And I mean, there comes a point where you have to just think realistically that it almost feels like there is a strong desire for a conspiracy narrative. It is like this weird obsession to prove something instead of to just analyze evidence in its entirety, open-mindedly, and to accept reality. And I think it's a point of our time right now online. Again, going to the Nancy stuff, the Nancy Guthrie craze right now, right? I mean, people just want to just cycle out all these conspiracies like it's some kind of game. And then they include, you think of Karen's dad. I mean, John's dad or John's best friend or all these medics. And I feel very protective over these medics that were just defamed, really, for doing their job. It makes me so mad, so sad. But I did star some stuff if you guys want to look at it and see if there's anything you wanted to anything you guys wanted to run over real quickly. People are saying Ken is the taillight goat. Ken is someone on Twitter who's been very vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much, Ken.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah, I took a lot of screenshots from your Twitter this week.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Me too. You're on my taillight. I gave you credit on my taillight thing.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
I don't see the stars. Do you
You
see
don't?
them? Did they go away? Oh, you know what? I think you can only see your stars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't see that.
I know Jenny says she sees them.
Yeah, I see them all.
Okay, well, somebody talk about them.
I'm just looking
for
we were covering topics as we go, so I may have started stuff we already covered here. Oh, here is a comm center. Drew said it's like walking up to a casket at a funeral. Here, I'm gonna put this. A funeral visitation. You slow your roll, peek in, whether you realize it or not. It's something you don't want to believe. This is when, in regard to the taillight that morning, how Reed's family was kind of like walking around the taillight. It's a really good comparison. Oh, and here we go. Courtney Cox Llama. Everyone's saying you look like Monica from Friends.
Oh boy.
Mama Llama, you look like Monica.
You look better than Monica. Monica wishes she looked like Mama Llama.
Please.
No cop would leave a half dead man with a working phone in their own yard. Preach. Preach, Julia.
Yeah. Julia, you're right. We've said this a million times, right? A Boston police detective and an ATF agent. We would still be looking for John if they murdered him.
Yep. And yes, the blizzard. This is something that I think the conspiracy theorists really try and distance themselves from in reality to how like a tow truck drives in the snow or how hard it is to find plastic shards in the snow, and not just snow, a blizzard.
And Proctor and Buchanan, in both of their testimonies, because I rewatched all 4 of them this week, they both said that it was so bad when they left to go to the hospital and to Dighton that they had to take Yuri's truck because the regular duty SUVs wouldn't have made it. And then you look at how Bill Reed NASCAR'd into that driveway. I mean, the video that you watched was in real time, and he is just like a bat out of hell pulling into that driveway because they had some things to take care of, and he knew that.
Yeah, and that leads into, I think it was Tuesday that brought this up this week when we were all talking, how they have always said, Mr. Reed and Karen, that they went to, that she wanted to go see the kids, she wanted to comfort the kids, and I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday said, I mean, it's on the Ring camera, they were cleaning that car off, that car was started, they had no intention of staying at that house.
Nope.
No intention. They were leaving.
Ready to go. They were worried about that car.
They were
getting
ready.
that car away.
Yep.
They don't mind if Nathan was out there getting frostbite, cleaning off everybody's cars. They had to go.
They were not
with his hands.
With his hands.
They were not staying, and I mean, he just died.
No.
I just can't even fathom. I mean, and I've told you guys this before. For those that don't know, I mean, I've been married 16-ish years, I believe we're at 16, 17 years. But when I met my husband, he was a single dad. He had a 2-year-old daughter. He is now ex-Navy. And when he got married to his like high school love, and he joined the military, and when he was deployed, his wife at the time got really hooked on pain pills because she had some issues. And anyway, she ended up just kind of walking away. I mean, I've been in who I consider my daughter's life now for many years, and I've never met her birth mom. I mean, her mom is gone. And when I entered at the time, or now my husband's life, when he had a 2-year-old, I knew walking in, this is a family, right? You automatically, you're in a family situation here. You take a different step into a situation like that. I cannot imagine being 2 years in and just leaving a situation like that. Right after they lost not just one parent, 2 parents, and now their 3rd parent. It's not something that she is clearly, Karen was focused on getting out of there.
Well, who did she think was going to be with the kids that night? I mean, who did she think was going to stay there?
That's a great point. It's like, and then, I mean, you look at those texts with Higgins too, right? She's saying like, they're John's kids, she's separating herself, which is just very odd when you've been dating someone for 2 years with children. I mean, I ended up adopting my husband's, it's weird to say my husband's child because she's been my daughter for, I mean, it's almost, I forget I adopted her, but just to even consider that mental state to be in, it doesn't make sense to me.
And
Yeah,
the one time
I never really thought of it until now. She didn't even say, "Are the kids all set tonight? Should I stay?" I mean,
right.
Crazy.
And in the one clip where she talks about him, she always uses this really tortured language. It's always like stuff that no one would ever say in real life. Sort of like when her dad said she slithered off the bed. She said, she doesn't say, I wanted to hug him, you know, I wanted to comfort him. She said, I just wanted to squeeze him. And she has her teeth grit. I think it's in the investigation discovery. It's like, I just wanted to squeeze him, like this kind of just bizarre, not affectionate, not warm, you know, description of wanting to see the kids again. And then you never hear about them again.
Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to end on a happy note.
Yeah, don't you have a video for us? A funny video?
No. Oh, we were gonna do a mean tweets ending, but
I know, we're gonna start doing that. Judy and I didn't we didn't do our job on that. We're gonna start doing that. We're gonna have like a fun little section of the mean, crazy tweets that people write to us on Twitter, which will be fun. But
We have the video, but we forgot the tweets.
Yeah.
But have a good day and an extra love to the O'Keefes.
Yeah. Extra love to the O'Keefes and prayers and thoughts to them for sure.
Yes. Yes. And we appreciate all you guys. Appreciate the mods, all of that. Have a really good weekend, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.